December meeting of the Franklin Township Trails Committee, virtual meeting. Usually our December meeting is at Luigi's. Wish we were there, but I guess, can't have that. So, okay, let's do roll call. I'm Jim Kuligowski, Chair of the Trails Committee.
Chuck Martin.
Anne Marie Orleski.
And Tom Lewis.
Mark, are you in?
Mark Fortin.
Vanessa, I saw Vanessa here.
Yep.
Did she drop off? Oh, there she is.
Okay,
Are
so
you muted? Vanessa, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I'm a Zoom person, WebEx. I'm being a little lazy. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No problem.
I get it. I get it.
All right, so everyone's, okay, roll call, okay. Agenda item number 3, approval of November 2020 minutes. The only question I have is, Chuck, thank you very much for the detailed minutes, even the time frame and things like that. But I thought we spent more time than 15 minutes on the trails plan.
actually it turned out to be very little. I mean, you can go back and look at the video, but
All right.
I put in those timestamps from the video because I go back, I chunk this. I don't do this all at one time. I just go back and check out a segment of it.
No, that's fine.
As I go. But it seemed to me like it might be useful information if you want to go back and look at it as well. So, I mean, do you want that in the minutes? Would you prefer to have that in the minutes, or?
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, that's, like I said, it just felt like longer than 15 minutes that we discussed the PT.
It was definitely at least a 45-minute window. We might have gone off on certain tangents, but you definitely had us doing 45 minutes for that, Jim.
Yeah, okay.
Well, as I recall, I subtracted one number from another. I can go back, I'd correct it and look at it. It's not
It's
difficult.
not a big deal. I don't have any issues. I don't mind approving the minutes as they are. Anyone else?
I would be fine with that. I just would suggest that, Chuck, for the sake of your sanity and for just not having to worry about this detail, it's not necessary or required to have it in the Roberts rules, about what we capture for meeting minutes. Really, we just need motions and then what passes and what doesn't, if I'm correct. So
No, you are correct. And I've looked at that. I'm just sort of experimenting with formats. The only thing I see is that we don't really follow Robert's rules to any great detail in these meetings. And it seems to me like I should try to capture the gist of the discussions as well, just for the record, so we can look back at it. But if you want to, if you would rather have minutes, which are the abbreviated form that only puts in motions and items that have been passed by the committee, I'm fine with it.
I think
certainly have to go back and look at it anyway. Honestly,
I think some detail of the conversation, summarizing the conversation, is always helpful. I did that in the past, but I honestly think the amount of time spent is not a critical factor to capture.
Okay, well, I mean, it's like I say, it's no big deal to me. I'm actually doing that to construct the minutes, and it's for my reference that I'm actually doing that. But if you'd rather not have it in, that's fine too.
My opinion would be a summary of the discussion is very helpful, and that the timestamps are not for us. Maybe you want to keep them on the side, but I wouldn't include them in the minutes.
Whatever, that's fine. And everybody else feel that way? Is that...
I agree. It's one more thing for us to have to, like, when we're looking at the minutes.
All right, so should I make a motion?
I'm losing it, Jim. Is anybody else?
Yeah, Jim, you're like cutting in and out, but I think he just asked for a motion to approve the minutes. He says, yeah.
Yes.
So
All
moved.
right, I move, I second.
Okay, Vanessa moves and Anne Marie seconds.
And I have to
All those in
abstain
favor?
because
Okay, and Tom Lewis is abstaining.
All right.
All right, any other comments? And if I'm breaking up, let me know because maybe Vanessa takes over.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, can you hear us, Jim?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Or am I breaking up?
You're good now.
Okay, okay, so a motion's been made. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Mayor. Okay.
I believe
agenda
Tom
item 4.
abstained.
Tom abstained. Yeah, I have him down as abstaining, just so you know.
Okay, just didn't want that to be missed.
Yep.
Okay, agenda item number 4, public comment. Is there anyone from the public on the meeting?
No, there's not.
Okay, well, we can reserve the right if anyone joins us, we can open the meeting later. Any public comment? All right. Number 5, new business. 21 meeting dates and
So I put this on there, I think I attached to the agenda email, the meeting dates for next year. Just so you're aware, the first 6 months of meetings have been scheduled as virtual tentatively right now. If that changes, I'll let you know and, give you plenty of warnings so that you know that we're going back to in-person. And if you received an email that your term is up for reappointment, just please respond to Anne Marie by the 11th. She needs that information back by the 11th.
I did respond.
Not this Anne Marie, the town
Yeah,
clerk
yeah.
Anne Marie.
Anne Marie McCarthy, yes, the clerk.
Guys, that's really important because we look at that, then we look at people requesting, and if someone hasn't submitted, then wouldn't say we assume they don't want to, but it takes us a while to try to figure it out. So really nice if you can do that.
Right. Well, for the record, I replied that I would like to stay on the committee.
That's a good thing.
Thank you. Did you reply, Anne Marie?
I did not get a notice.
Oh, really? Because I saw that your name was on the notice.
Oh, well,
Um,
I get it.
Are you sure it was Anne Marie Orluski and not Anne Marie McCarthy?
we should look into this, I think. So,
Yeah, I'll follow up on that I'll follow up on Anne Marie just to make sure.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Again, Chuck, are you 100% sure that it said Anne Marie Orluski and not Anne Marie McCarthy?
I will check.
Yeah, before
Okay,
chasing that too far.
Because I thought 2 people were listed. Both of our terms ended in December, and
Okay.
blah, blah, blah.
all right, well, it's good to know that.
I'll look later.
Okay, thank you.
I think, Jim, did we lose you? I think we may have lost Jim. I'm not sure. Jim, can you hear us?
yeah, I can hear you. Mark made a suggestion because I was having issues. He says, get off the video and maybe it will work a little better. So let's try that. Plus you don't need to see me.
Yeah, that sounds good. Uh-huh.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
That sounds good.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, are we done with the new business, Tara?
Hold on, I just want to look here. I have some, yes, we're done with the new business. I do have some updates in old business just based on our last meeting, but no more new business from me.
Okay, so we should go into new business.
Can I just jump in, because I did find the email from Anne Marie McCarthy, and it was addressed to me, to you, Anne Marie, and to Siobhan, I think the person that dropped off the committee.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Shashandri. Is Govind Shashandri on the committee?
No, he dropped off.
Okay, well, the letter from Anne Marie McCarthy addressed all three of us.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
So-
good to know because I never got it. So Tara, if you could help me with that, I'd greatly appreciate it because I really would like to stay on the committee.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll send Anne Marie McCarthy an email. Just let her know.
All right. Thank you.
So are we down one, or should we be looking for one more member on the committee?
We are down a member. There has been someone who has put an application in and I believe it's being reviewed now. So that's in, but yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that someone else couldn't put something in as well.
I would like a recommendation from the committee. That would basically, what I would do is follow your recommendation.
Have we seen the resume or application from the person? I don't recall seeing one.
Tara,
I thought that some people had actually attended the meeting.
They may have attended, but I guess we didn't realize they had actually applied.
So Mark, remember I had recruited somebody from the Firefly Hike, Ava Joseph, who has an environmental engineering background and was interested. She applied a long time ago.
Yeah, the question I have is,
One of
because
the meetings.
and we had some other people show up over the various time periods as well. The question is, which one of those, if somebody did apply or more than
Who
one,
was
we
it?
don't know. Who was it of those people? And can we normally, Anne Marie McCarthy or somebody from the clerk, whoever receives it, passes it along to the committee for us to review, and then we can
Okay.
make a recommendation to council. But we haven't seen that yet, so that's why we haven't made the recommendation to council, because we aren't even aware somebody actually followed through and did the process of applying.
Yeah, I've been bringing it up at the last couple meetings that I was told she had applied, but we hadn't heard anything. And I
Mhm.
think Tara was following up on it.
Yeah, I did follow up on it and I believe the application was submitted to the township office, but that's like the furthest I got with that. So I can, do you know, Mayor, if anything came in or?
So something came in, and let me tell you that what happens when these things come in. They come in usually so it used to be in your packet that you would get, it was a physical packet that you would get. It would be all these applications, and you would kind of, and as the course of going through your packet, you go through it. With COVID, we don't get the packets. You know, it's all online, and those applications come to us helter skelter. And I may be reading my email, I'll be honest, at work between patients, and I look at that and I say, "Oh, I'll look at it later." And with COVID, we've been a little remiss at picking people who apply, and I brought it up to some other council members. We're trying to come up with a way that forces us to look at those. One time that we're forced to look at those is at the beginning of the year with new appointments. So this would be a time for you to, write a letter or something. Maybe you guys can all contact Sarah and say, this is the one who I want, and she could say, well, this is the consensus of it, or you can, do it tonight. And then, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, council's going to be figuring out who we're going to appoint. So.
I guess we don't, without knowing who, if it's for sure is the person that Vanessa suggested, without having the name and the paperwork in front of us, I don't know who to even recommend. I mean, I wouldn't even feel comfortable making a motion. We don't know who's before us.
Yeah.
The only information I have, Mark, is that she had messaged me that she submitted her application on July 2nd. But I don't know if that actually went through or not.
What are they called? Citizen what forms?
I think it's called like citizen volunteer form. Let me look and see if I can find the exact, but that's what I think it's called.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't see any reason why for many of the people who've shown up so far, I don't have any personal objections, just my opinion, to making a recommendation about them. They all seemed interested and potentially valuable participants in this committee. But I mean, we could make the recommendation and then that's not the paperwork that was received and the person may not have completed the proper application, in which case we'd be recommending somebody who isn't really in the running. So it just makes it a bit of a complication for us.
It's called citizen leadership form, and it's under that tab, I want to, and that says get involved with a board or commission. I haven't been given anything about it yet. I'll try. I mean, I haven't, and I followed up and I haven't received any info yet. I don't know, again, if this helps you, like what Vanessa said, I don't have any paper in front of me. I just looked in to see if I had any info at all. But the woman, Miss Joseph, she did attend a few of our meetings. She's pretty active on the trails. I'm trying to think if I know anything about her that I could kind of tell you. So, but that's the basis really of it. I think, Vanessa, you met her at National Trails Day, right? Was that the first?
She came to the Firefly hike.
Oh, the Firefly, right.
So this is like, July before. So a year ago, July.
Mm-hmm.
And so she expressed an interest at that point. Yeah, and so with her background, with her profession and her interest in trails, seemed like she might be a valuable member. She came to one of our meetings, and another young man, Wale, came as well. He hasn't applied yet, and he was asking me to guide him with that. And my understanding was there wasn't an opening, and I didn't want him to go through the process of applying if there was not going to be an opening. So anyhow. But that's what I know about Ava Joseph.
Okay. I could reach out to the clerk's office again and see if I can find out any more info. And as soon as I do, I'll let you all know.
Could I ask a point of information about this topic? Because I have a candidate that I think would be a valuable admission to the Open Space Committee. And this is Peter Morin, who is the director of the Ecology and Evolution Graduate Program here. He's former director. You may know him, Phil.
I do.
Yeah. He is an international recognized scholar in environmental biology. And almost all of his research is actually done in Franklin Township. And I don't know if there's a position open on the Open Space Committee, but he would be invaluable in terms of his scientific expertise as well as his expertise of township biology. Is that
more an environmental thing than open space? I mean, open space, you decide what land to buy, what land not to buy, whether to put a park here or not. I'm not sure. I mean, he's a smart guy, but I'm not sure that's where his expertise is. I know we could do that job as well as people on the committee, but I think he'd be more valuable on the environmental commission.
That's certainly a good suggestion, I think. I just don't know, are there openings available? How could I coerce Peter into applying to one of these positions?
Well, that's like number one on the list because he doesn't want to be on it.
Yeah.
But I certainly, if I were flipping through them and I saw his name, it caught my attention. I know him quite well.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm actually showing him our trails. They're actually, believe it or not, that familiar with our trails. They're familiar with our grasslands, but not with our trails. And they're actually, he and his wife Marcia are quite excited about learning more about our trail systems. And they connect with Hutchinson Forest and, all of the other open spaces in the county. So I'll work on him. And you think the Environmental Commission would be the place to put him?
I think so. I think that's where it really shine.
Very good. Well, thank you.
If we have a high degree of confidence that, and it sounds like Vanessa does since she's been in communication with the potential candidates, if we have a high degree of confidence that Ava Johnson's application has been submitted and is sitting somewhere in the bureaucratic limbo, I'm willing to make a recommendation. I'm willing to make a motion for her recommendation if that's the case. Do we seem to have a high degree of confidence in that? Is that right, Vanessa, that she said she's applied?
Yes, she said that she's applied, and her background from what we spoke about that day seems good. I mean, it's like all of us, though, we all have to prove ourselves once we join.
Of course.
She also, I had brought up having some diversity goals as well. I think at our last reorg meeting, and she, well, that's not a committee goal. That is one of my personal goals, and she would help us with that as well. I think that she brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, well, in the interest of trying not to waste anybody's time further and having to wait for all this stuff to happen, presuming she is the applicant, I will make a motion that we recommend Ms. Ava Johnson to fill the vacant seat on the committee, pending confirmation that
Ava
Joseph, my apologies. I will make a motion that we recommend Ava Joseph to join the committee, pending confirmation of her actual application.
Could you spell her last name for me, please? I'd like to get this down. This is a motion.
It's Joseph, Joseph.
I'm sorry. There's some sort of garbling. Could you say it again, please, Vanessa?
Joseph, Joseph.
Okay. And Ava. Okay.
AVA.
Okay, thank you. I second the motion if no one else has.
All right, I think that's valid. Like you said, pending that her application has been submitted. Yeah, I'd like that caveat because we don't even know where she stands right now. But okay, a motion has been forwarded and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Yeah, let me. Sorry. Okay, I guess moving along. Old business. Can we move on to that? All right, Tara, paint markers on trails. Thank you very much for the picture.
Oh, you're welcome. I have a few quick updates related to our conversation at the last meeting, but the first is about the paint markers. So I went back to the Sourlands and I went up like their super duper long trail up to the top because I wanted to see how did they handle doing the trail markers when there's not just, like a bunch of trees in a straight line. So when I got to kind of near the top, that's when that picture I sent you of the rock with the paint on it. So I thought, okay, this is a pretty interesting way for them to go ahead and put that paint on there. I did speak again with a former colleague at the county who said the paint system seems to be working out pretty well. They just started it, so they don't have a lot of information about maintenance. However, it really it's good, because if it needs to be touched up or anything like that, really anyone can do it, which is good news. It's saving money, it's saving time. It does look nice. I think it kind of goes. The only recommendation I had is the ones I sent you are in yellow, and I have a picture in orange from a tree, which I have here. Let me just look if it's even worth showing you, because it might just be like a square. Oh yeah, it's just like a square. But anyway, they did have one trail, and I think they have white, yellow, orange, and then one is marked, I want to say it's like green or brown. And in that situation, it was a little off, because when you're putting it on a tree, it doesn't really go. So I know in our trail system, we have some brown trails. If we're using paint, we might want to just use the markers on that trail, like the aluminum markers, or change the color of the trail. And since we're looking to do some mapping updates in the 2021, it might be a good time to take care of all of that at once. Because that could be a little confusing, but other than that, I think it was great. I also think it's a cool opportunity for kids out there, or for people that are not familiar with the trail, because I was able to teach my kids how to read the markings, and now it was like a big deal for them. So I think people that aren't interested in trails, it also kind of like makes them feel like they're really doing like a real trail. So I had a conversation with Bob Thornlocker this morning on a bunch of issues, and one of them I brought up was the paint. I also spoke to Carl about it, and both of them were supportive of the issue. So, if it's something that we're definitely interested in looking into, I would say maybe we kind of get that together for the upcoming budget preparation, and also think about how we're going to handle the trail, like the existing brown trails. That's really going to be the main one, is the brown trails.
I would make a motion that we convert our trail markings on our township trail system to a paint system, and that we find alternative colors for the brown.
That's good.
A second, Anne Marie?
That's a second.
All right, all those in favor of Mark's motion? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Oh, Chuck?
Oh, you're muted, Chuck.
Could we have discussion on the motion, please?
Sure, absolutely. I'm sorry.
And I just wanted to mention a couple of things. One was that I have found areas on our trails where the trees that would be used as markers are so small that if you were to put a directional marker on it, which involves two different types of paint, it just wouldn't work. So I would like to ask Mark to amend his motion to say that we would move to putting paint markers on trails and other markers as appropriate if paint was not appropriate for the circumstance.
Well, I'd like to think, in particular, looking at the picture that Tara sent us, that there are creative ways to solve that problem, such as an actual arrow stencil that could fit on some of those smaller trees. If we only put the arrow stencil, we don't necessarily have to follow the stacked two blaze format in all cases where the proper substrate isn't available.
So you would want to, your motion is to only use paint, but in circumstances where, well, where
Yeah, my motion is to only use paint. I don't think we should continue. The point was we have to think in terms of the budget and, and planning. And I don't think we should continue to plan for other types of signage, right? I think we can commit to paint, and we just need to maybe be creative with the paint, and maybe part of the budgeting for the paint in terms of actual paint planning is planning for a stencil with a directional arrow of an appropriate size, similar to the one that Tara showed us as an example.
Yes, we would definitely have a stencil for sure. That I wanted to add in. And the other thing, Chuck, I don't know if this alleviates any of your, which I totally understand, is that in areas where that happened at the Sourlands Trail, they put up a wooden post, but they put the paint marking on there. Or if it was like complete, I think I did see maybe one regular trail marker where it was just like a complete impossibility, but they painted on rocks, on posts, on trees, wherever really. And then if it was like just an impossibility, then they would use the marker. So,
I guess that was really what was on my mind, was that there may be areas where we would have to put on a post with a paint marker. I'm fine with that. I don't have any objections as far as that goes.
okay.
So the other thing is that I think in some areas, I'm thinking about this proposal I made for the Simonson Brook Trail, that it would probably be useful to have a post at the point where it leaves the John Clyde Trail. So there would be information saying trail to environmental center or something, something like that, to give some more directional information.
I agree. And like I said, the timing is really good because we are trying to update our trails maps, like I said, for 2021. And Anne Marie and I are actually going to work on Negri coming up, just because I wanted to pick a place to see, let's get the format down on a trails map that we all like.
Right.
And then we can proceed forward. So maybe we start with that map at Negri and we start with that system at Negri, which is a pretty good place because there is a lot of different ways to test out, and then we can really, expand it.
Great.
So I'll concede the point to Chuck, and I will rescind my first motion, and I'll modify it to be maybe a bit more specific, that I make a motion that we replace the small metal trail marker signs that are currently in use with paint blazes moving forward, or other paint symbols moving forward. And that this does not include the posts or actual large signs with words on them that might provide other information. Like, I wasn't thinking in terms of kiosks or things like that. I was only thinking in terms of a motion. This motion is to replace the metal trail markers that are currently in use with a paint system. That's my motion.
Okay, so should I put in the motion something about posts, or just leave it at that?
I guess I would leave it out and just say we're just aiming to replace the metal trail. The motion is to replace the metal trail marking system with a paint blazing system.
Got it. I got the word system in there too, so that's great.
All right, any further discussion? Anyone else have any comments? Oh, I guess so.
So Jim, Vanessa has a comment.
Okay.
Does this necessarily require us to remove the current markers? Like, do we have to remove them, or can we just kind of add on with the paint? Like, I personally don't think it's necessary to remove the markers that still kind of go along and match.
I agree. I mean, I think that the intention of my motion is not to go do a wholesale removal, but that if we're planning moving forward, we either have to plan to buy more metal tags, or we need to plan to buy paint and stencils and stuff. And I don't think we should put any more into metal tags and screws or nails and so forth. That's my intention.
So yeah, I just think for us for me, I think let's add the paint. So even if I have a marker on my trail, I can just add I can add the paint on that as well. But I would hate to get rid of the markers that currently exist. I think they're fine, and I actually like the design of them.
Okay.
Well, as I pointed out in the previous meeting conversations and sent picture of, some of those have actually looked like they've done some serious damage to the trees and been embedded badly. And I don't know if there's a recourse there, but I don't think they should stay if they're in that kind of a situation. But yeah, if they're not doing any harm, I don't have any problem leaving them. I don't think we need to enlist an effort to go and pull them all down.
Okay.
So
Sorry, I'm on a different
is my,
computer tonight.
is my motion sufficiently clear in that regard, or do we think I need to modify it further?
I think it's pretty clear.
I have your motion that is to replace the small metal trail marker system that's currently in use with a paint blaze or painted symbol system moving forward.
Moving forward, I think being the key word.
Right.
Okay. Yes. Excellent. Thank you, Chuck. That accurately reflects my intention.
And the motion doesn't say anything about removing the current trail markers. So it's the
Well,
trail.
it has the word replace, but it says replace moving forward. So
Yeah. Okay. The only thing is with the, as Tara said, with the brown trails, that may take work.
I don't think the motion necessarily needs to specify what we're going to, yeah. I don't think we need to specify that in the motion. I think that's an implementation detail that doesn't necessarily need to be in the motion. That's just my opinion.
No, it's not in the motion. I
wonder
that's
if we
my,
could find some sort of luminous paint. I was wondering if we could find some sort of luminous paint that might stand out, or fluorescent paint. Thinking about the trails in the Butler purple, that the hunters have told me that sometimes it takes them into the evening to take out the deer, and sometimes they're getting lost in the dark on the trail. But I don't know whether that's something that would be feasible or not. But
On my trails, the hunters all have those reflective pins they put on there. So their headlamps, steer them out. So
yeah.
I'm surprised your hunters don't.
Well, no, they believe me, they've got it all. They've got equipment like you wouldn't believe. But I do know that in a narrow trail on a red cedar grove, a headlamp doesn't really light up the trail that well. So anyway, just a thought. I'm not.
yes, we
I'm sure that
digress.
kind of stuff is out there. Yeah, I'm sure that stuff's out there, but I'm not sure it's in all the colors that we'd need it to be available. So I wouldn't want to put that requirement
I don't
onto
know.
the
No,
motion.
I don't. Please don't put it in the motion.
I think the motion's, yeah, it's been put out on the, it's on the floor. Has it been seconded? I don't recall.
The original motion
I
was with the
second.
mod. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Okay,
I
Vanessa
second
second.
the modified version.
All right.
Anne
All those
Marie
in
seconded it.
favor?
It was Anne Marie.
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Carries. All right. Hopefully we use spray paint. I don't want to take a brush and the can of paint with me when I'm hiking. But just,
And a stencil, yeah, right.
And a
Spray
stencil.
can and a stencil.
I think that would work
Again,
good. But
Again, I think that's an implementation detail that can be sorted out that doesn't need to be part of the motion, but I agree that sounds good.
no, it's just an opinion, just adding my 2 cents. All right. Do we actually move on to the Pathways and Trails plan now? Or,
Oh, wait.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had, can I update on like a few things from last meeting real quick, or do you want to?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll just be quick here. So the forest stewardship plan, we had talked about at the last meeting, potentially seeing if we could get some quotes to complete that. So as part of my conversation with Bob this morning, he said he would be open to seeing if we can get some quotes on that. There is a threshold if it's, under a certain amount that we don't have to go through a formal bidding process, and this should be well below that amount. So my first stop, I guess, really will be to Audubon to get a quote from them, and then I'll bring it to you when we get it. And if it looks good, and you want to go with it, we can discuss that then. Or if you decide you want me to try and get some more quotes, we can do that. But I think at least starting with them so we have an idea of what the ballpark is would be a good idea. So we can definitely go forward with that.
Tara, who else does that? I'm sorry, Tara, who else does that?
I know Audubon does them. There is some certified New Jersey foresters that I can get a list through DEP from, but I don't know really any of them that well. I know one forester that I've worked with and he's great, but he really does like site specific on the ground forest management plans. So I would think Audubon would be a good place to start, because at least if we have a quote from them and we want another one, then we kind of know what we would get from Audubon, and does it meet our needs or does it not meet our needs? And that'll kind of help me figure out where to go next.
Okay, I was just wondering, because I don't know about this specialty area, so it sounds good.
I've been working with a forester. Turns out it's actually Patricia Callister's husband, who is a certified forester. He's part of a group in Far Hills that does this as well. Patricia says that they may be pricey, so it might support the Audubon for that reason. But I can give you the name of that particular firm.
Okay.
So.
I don't know, Jim, if you noticed, there's somebody who put a question in about, they just joined. Did you already have public session? I know we finished our first public session, but we have it again later in the agenda, correct?
Yes, we can go back to that. No. Okay.
And Tara, did you see? Oh, never mind. You saw it.
I wrote back. So we have that, the volunteer proposal from John Luce at Negri Napodi. So again, spoke with Bob about it. OSAC is not going to meet until January. Normally, these do have to go to the Open Space Advisory Committee for their recommendation. But because there's no cost involved, and because they are willing to sign the holds harmless agreement, which I sent to them this morning, we can go ahead and, with the trails recommendation that you made at the last meeting, go ahead and allow them to start doing their volunteer work, which is really maintenance work at Negri Napodi, which is wonderful. Each person, so John, his wife, and his grandson will all sign a separate holds harmless agreement. As soon as we receive that back, they can go ahead and start their volunteer project, which is super appreciated. So that is moving forward as well. And the only other thing that I wanted to update you on is I have been talking to Carl at DPW and Bob today about the bench issue, because I know we have a lot of benches that we've been discussing that are in disrepair. So when I originally spoke to Carl, his idea was, we can get the hard plastic benches, which require no maintenance and they last a really long time, and we could put a request in the budget to at least start with replacement there. I know that wasn't the thought of everyone last time, but that's just one option. We talked about potentially there are aluminum benches. They don't have a back, but there are aluminum benches that were placed at the 9/11 memorial right outside of the municipal building. Those are about half the price of the plastic bench and also require very little maintenance. Or we can go ahead and try and reinstitute the, memorial bench, donate a bench kind of project with wood, or reach out to the Boy Scouts or do something like that. So we can put a request in the budget, long story short. It's just what type of bench. So the plastic bench is $800 per bench. But again, they last really a long time and they don't require a lot of maintenance. The aluminum benches that were placed outside of the 9/11 memorial, they are blue and made of aluminum. They don't have backs, but they're around $380 a piece. And then the other option is to look at wooden benches. I don't have a cost for them. We'd have to really price those out, or to look into this memorial bench program. So I have been working on that with them. I wanted to see what your all thoughts were about those options. And you can think about it. You don't have to tell me just this second, but in January, we will need to, if you want to get it in, we will need to, get that going with the budget.
One of the things that I've had discussions with a number of people that who are interested in these areas, and I think most of them are in agreement that the benches don't need to have backs.
Okay.
Backs are actually an issue. The other thing that I would like to say is that I think any of the benches that have memorial plaques on them, memorial plaques should be transferred to the new bench.
I agree with Chuck on that latter point and on the prior point. A lot of people are walking with a little day pack or things like that, and actually having the back on the bench can kind of get in the way if you want to just sit down quick and not take anything off. So a no back bench is, I think, perfectly appropriate still.
Okay.
And just an initial off the cuff opinion is the aluminum, I'm more than happy for the lower cost aluminum if Public Works or whoever has evaluated the benches feels that they're in a similar high durability, low maintenance category to the plastic, I'm certainly willing to go for the cheaper option there. My personal opinion is that we've seen what's happened to the wooden ones, and despite the possibility that they might even be cheaper and that they could provide for like some type of a scouting project or something, that we're just going to be redoing them again very soon and seeing the same problems we've already seen. So I guess I'd be more inclined to support the idea of the aluminum or another durable option as opposed to having to continually rebuild these benches from wood.
Mm-hmm. If you're interested in seeing exactly the kind that I'm talking about, if you happen to be driving past the municipal building, go check those out. I think they're blue, and apparently, they've been great in terms of maintenance. So, like we talked about at the last meeting, we'll just make sure that we put some layer of like soil or something around the bottom to prevent the mower from going into it. But I think that that's a doable option. Maybe not every single bench on every single trail to start off, but I think we can at least start like getting the ones that are in need right now replaced, and maybe some more even.
Right, just replace the ones that are in the worst shape first, and we can do it over staggered period rather than making the investment all up front.
Okay.
No, I
it
definitely,
I was just gonna say, it seems like these aluminum benches hold up in, other parks and, where there's more active recreation too. So sounds like a great idea to go with the aluminum benches.
I agree. I prefer the aluminum to the plastic, just less plastic is always better in my book. So I like the idea, and then not having the back, I think also has benefits.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I will try and get, I guess what I would say is if everyone kind of likes that idea, if you can on your trail, if you know, or even give me an approximate number of how many benches, because I know you all have recommended the number of benches to me. If you can just send me like a number roughly, if you have it, this way I can kind of, figure out what requests to put in the budget. 3 for Mark. And then I will bring it to OSAC. I have to bring it to OSAC as well, but they will meet again January 19th. So I'll put that on the agenda. This way we can make sure, at least like phase 1 gets done.
I'm not 110% confident in that number, but I'm 99% sure that at least 2 benches are present and both in terrible shape on Griggstown. And I think there's actually 3 benches out there. So
Okay.
I just want to, I'll try and make a point to get back out there and get you a proper firm count. But I know the pictures I've sent you are of at least 2 different bad benches.
Yeah.
So I would say 2 to 3 for Griggstown at this point.
Perfect.
Yeah, Tara, there were 2 benches at the beginning of Bunker Hill. One of them has been completely removed, but like the hardware that was in the ground is still there. So I almost feel like we don't even need to we don't have to replace that bench, but we need to get that hardware out because it's a hazard.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other bench there is broken. Like it looks good, but it is broken. So I definitely think that we should have 1 or 2 there. I also have to share that one of the benches that was on the Red Trail in the woods was repaired. So I was they replaced the board on top. So that was great.
Good. Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay. All right. That was my updates.
Okay, Tara, do you know if the person from the public is still online or in the chat?
Yeah, I believe he is. It's Stan from the Environmental Commission. Do you want to open public session, or you want me to just unmute him?
I think we open it to the public. I mean, rather than have him wait 45 minutes, if we're going to work on the Pathways and Trails plan, might as well do it now. If there's no objection.
Okay.
Okay, open the meeting to the public. Any second?
I make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
I think Anne Marie seconded it, or saw her hand. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is now open to the public. So Tara, if you can help us out there.
Yep.
with
Stan,
this.
are you there?
Yes, yes. Good evening, everyone. And I want to thank everyone in the Trails Committee for your volunteering and dedication. I have two questions. One that I originally came with, and then I have a comment to one of the items that I just heard. So the first thing is, I live about 1 mile from Harvey Inman Park, and I love this park. It's a great park, and I love the trail in particular. And once in a while, when we have adverse weather event, the trail is, the trees fall through and stuff. So during this pandemic, I just made the assumption that there is less resources. So, at the end of summer, I came with the scissors and I was just clearing the path from thorns and whatnot. And it's about 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, there was lots of wind and some trees fell off. And there is one section where there are two rather big trees right next to each other. Do you plan to send someone to clear the path?
Hold on. Oh, I'm not on mute. Are the two trees down?
Yes, they're totally down.
Okay, I can let DPW know. That's who helps us out with, removing the larger items from the trail. So I will send Carl an email and let him know about that.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, I kind of walk that trail as well, and I see that there are trees. Are these blocking the trail? Because I know
Yes.
there's some that are alongside, and there's some that you kind of just go over. But I know there's one right by the softball field, and that end of the trail where there was a tree down, and that was last month. I let people know about that.
I think the one towards the end, I chopped it off. It was knocked down. I managed to do it. But I'm talking about the one that is in the corner. It's close. The road at the other side would be Helmick?
Yeah, I believe Heinrich.
Heinrich,
I
yes.
think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. In that corner, there are two big logs just next to each other, and I just can't get, I cannot move it by myself.
Yeah, okay. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another one which is somewhere in the middle, and the way how it's knocked, that you can just make a trail around. I just try to clear it around, and it's, if somebody from DPW comes along, they can as well just chop that one and make it easier to pass, but it's not that critical.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
make sure that we put that
Cool.
request
Thank
in.
you. Thank you very much. My
we
second
appreciate-
comment, yes?
We appreciate your comments, and thank you for maintaining the trail
Yeah.
as well. So that's a great help. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. My second was when I was listening to the suggestions about the benches. When it's plastic, it's most likely post-consumer recycled plastic. So it's not bad plastic, so to speak. It's a downcycled plastic. So, and it's warmer to sit on versus aluminum, because aluminum is conductor. And if the committee agrees on having not the back side of it, can you have a quotation for the plastic bench without the back seat? I mean, oh, I'm sorry, how do you call it? Just for sitting, not for
Right.
leaning against, yeah.
That's a good idea. I mean, I could definitely get that.
Mm-hmm. So-
Tara, I assumed the aluminum was coated. So,
It's
because
still cold. It's still
I think
cold.
so, yeah. I think so, but I mean, what I can do is for when, we actually talk about what's proposed for the budget, I can get, a few options. If I find an option with this post-consumer recycled plastic with no backing, I can at least bring that to you
No
as an
back,
option.
right.
Sure, yep, that should be, I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, there is certainly less carbon footprint associated with making that versus aluminum, because aluminum has to be done, manufactured by electrolysis. So. And that concludes my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Yes, agreed. Thank you very much for participating and thank you for the comments.
I'll stay until later, just to experience, because I myself, I love hiking. I just only wish that we have, mountain in our township, but unfortunately we don't. The nearest is a little bit of hill in Bridgewater, the Ridge, but it's a county park, which happens to be heavily infested with the spotted lanternfly, which is a separate topic. But anyway, I'm one of the slaughter people who kill them.
Well, actually, Sven, we have a 300-foot mountain on our yellow trail in the Greekstown grassland area there. Not much of a hike, I'm afraid. But I could promise you that next summer we are going to be covered with spotted lanternflies based on what we have seen just in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for some hills, the 6 Mile Run Trail has a little bit more hills than some of our other trails do. It's a state trail, but it's here in Franklin Township.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love all. Actually, I think that Franklin is very good at maintaining the trails. And I go to Bunker Hills as well. And Negrinepoti is very close to me. I mean, it's only flat, but still, I think it's great. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We're proud.
Okay, do you want to make a motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay, the meeting is now closed to the public, or for the public. Moving along, Pathways and Trails Plan.
Okay.
All right, Chuck, we're starting at 8:06.
Right time is 8:06. I'm putting that down.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on, just get my screen up here.
All right, guys, I'm gonna bow out for this. Have fun.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Mayor.
How you do?
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
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 Nate.
Take care.
All right, so can everyone see my screen?
The maps are the same quality as before, unfortunately.
Oh, I know. Yeah, this is
Yes.
embedded in this document. You know what? Hold on. I want to share the entire desktop only because if we go to a live map, this way we have it. But yeah, the maps, they're already embedded in the document. So I will increase it as best as I can. That doesn't help.
Could I make a motion to include a higher quality set of maps in the new plan?
Oh, we will. We absolutely will. Yeah, we're gonna redo these maps for the new plan. Yep. Okay, so I'll have to, let's talk about it. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna try and pull up the map. So this is Gauguin? Is that how you say it?
Again,
Gauguin Way. Okay, Gauguin Way pathway extension into Middle Bush Park. The proposed improvement was to construct a bike path to connect the existing bike path. Hold on, now I gotta, sorry. There it is. The existing bike path on Gauguin Way to Middle Bush Park's proposed trails, and the surface type was suitable for road bikes.
I rode my bicycle on that this morning. It was getting sort of cold, actually. But that path is there. It's already there. The path that goes through the trees that's with the red line is a crushed shale path. And the path that moves in sort of a northeast direction that it connects with, where you can either go to Charles Street or Gauguin Way, or to the other road that's north of it. That is an asphalt path that's wide and very, very, very suitable for bikes. I did not have any difficulty cycling from my house. The path I take is through the back of the Sampson G. Smith School into the government complex, DeMont Lane complex. And from there, I go around the athletic fields to get to it. And there's no problem with cycling with it. I did notice that it wants several spots on the path that leading to the athletic complex. Some of that crushed shale is eroded. You can actually cycle around it, but it should probably be smoothed out. But that, we don't need to propose a new trail. It's already there, and it's in very good shape.
Okay.
I could share a zoomed in Google Earth view if you want.
All right, hang on. Make presenter. Okay, Mark, you should be able to.
Okay, hopefully that's working. Kind of lose my controls over here when I do this. So the trail, there's an existing paved path, as Chuck mentioned, from Martino here to here. To Gauguin.
That is correct, yes.
Yep. And then there is a crushed shale path that goes from about here through the woods to here. And then it's sort of crushed shale, I think still, Chuck, all the way
Absolutely.
somewhere over here.
It circles in many, many directions around the athletic fields.
Right. So I think the original proposal was just to do from here to like here.
No, that's already
as-
there.
Yeah, but it's there as a crushed shale, I believe now, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah, so my opinion, based on Chuck's input and what I've seen, because I've also been on it within the last 6 months, is that I don't necessarily feel the need to add something more formal. I wouldn't think we'd need to pave the existing crushed argillite shale path that's kind of in this little thin wood strip over here. That goes from the paved path into Middle Bush Park. If this is all crushed argillite shale, I don't see the need to make this a road bike trail. If somebody really wanted to road bike this, I don't know about cutting in here is necessary. They could go around via Martino or via Charles over to Wade through the municipal complex and get into Middle Bush Park on there's a paved way there, either way, without needing to pave this little section here, right? I guess to try and zoom out a little bit and give people a feel for it. I don't know why we'd need a little short paved connector in this section. I don't know if that really accomplishes a lot. That's just my opinion.
So it sounds like this is already accomplished and we could take it out of the plan because it's done.
I mean, I think
That would be
it
my
called.
recommendation. Yes.
I think it called for a suitable for road bikes, which was a paved I think that's the primary thing that was being sought, but
Is that right?
I would think we could take it out.
Okay, so remove basically it already exists. Okay. Whoop, hold on, I went too far. Okay. Alrighty, so the next one is Weston Road. Let me share my screen again so you can see. Share content. No, not share content. Oh, hold on, I have to make myself the presenter again. Hang on one. Make presenter. Yes, okay. All right. So the next one is Weston Road. The proposed improvement was a bike path from the existing bike path along most of Weston Road to the intersection of Weston Road and Elizabeth Ave. So this didn't have a, is it down here? No, this didn't have a map with it.
That's right. This did not have a graphic with any maps shown for this. Again, if you want, I have it. It's very close to what we were looking at just before, and I still have Google Maps up, so I could try and show that, and we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Was that helpful the last time? I don't know if it was clear for people to see what I had on my screen.
No,
was
it
helpful.
is, yeah, it's helpful. I have a map up in case like something happens, but yeah, since you, I mean, you're familiar with it more like on the ground. So yeah, I made you a present. Did I make you a presenter? Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very clear.
Okay, good. So right now on Weston Road, there is a sidewalk from roughly here. It doesn't quite go to the intersection. It ends just a little before the light, which is, we see that happen on Cedar Grove too. I think people have seen that as well, right? I don't think they like to put them right through the signalized intersection for some reason. But the sidewalk, it kind of dead ends. It kind of goes, actually, I'm wrong. It goes further. It kind of ends over here, here, and it dead ends here. It doesn't go around this corner for some reason, but there's a little opening in it right across from the traffic light at Treptow on Cedar Grove Lane. And then it goes up and dead ends somewhere around here.
Are you talking about an existing bike path that is there now?
Bike path / sidewalk. I'm not sure how it's classified, similar to like Van Cleef, but I'm not 100% sure what it's considered, because Van Cleef technically is considered a bike path. You'll see signs saying walk bikes over roadway, and yet like JFK's is similar, but you don't see those same signs on JFK Boulevard. So I don't know if there was some classification done or you know how they specified what is what, but they look the same from anybody who's not in the thick of this formal detail process like we are. The average public person is not going to know that they look the same, but except for the difference of not having signs. Van Cleef, if you ride your bike on the Van Cleef quote unquote sidewalk or whatever's there, that paved thing that's detached from the road that runs along the side of Van Cleef for part of it from Amwell heading towards Blackwell Mills. And when you reach side streets to cross, there's actual signs there that tell you to walk your bike over the roadway.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think those exist on JFK, yet the surface looks identical. So I don't know if that means they were classified differently.
They are now on
Right.
JFK.
They're not present here on Weston. So then there is a sidewalk from like somewhere around here, maybe, or maybe it's just after this side street here on Weston, on this side of the road, that runs down to about the cricket fields. Didn't mean to click that. So somewhere close to the cricket field. And then there's a little bit, I think, that was put in by Renaissance, the development over here from like about here to maybe about here. They don't, I don't know, whatever parts they own. They kind of put in a sort of a sidewalk to nowhere along here. But I know it does not extend all the way to Elizabeth. So I think the indications were it says to the extent feasible, add bike paths to the missing sections and proposed improvements, bike path from the existing bike path along most of Weston Road to the intersection of Weston Road and Elizabeth. I don't know what easements are available here on either side of this road to get us all the way to Elizabeth. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I don't know what easements are in this section. Somewhere close to the cricket fields, the sidewalk ends, and the intent was to get it all the way to Elizabeth. Elizabeth Avenue has a shoulder/bike lane, and one could then take that all the way to Colonial Park over here. I'll shut up now.
So what does everyone think? Is that the proposed improvement, is that something where, you know, do we want to keep it in? Do we want to modify it?
I'm in favor of having a contiguous bike path all the way along Weston Road to Cedar Grove Lane. I'm trying to think about whether or not this, Tom, you proposed a path for Middlebush Park for the high school track team. And I think this would actually be the path that the cross-country runners would run to get to Middlebush Park. Is that correct?
Let me see if he might be muted. Tom, oh, there you are. Oh, wait, you're muted, Tom. I'm going to unmute you. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was Weston is how they would have to go over, and anything that could be done to make that safer for, you know, joggers, not just the cross-country team, but joggers in general, would be a big help.
Yeah, joggers, bikers, any pedestrians getting from all the way along Weston, I think would be great.
Yeah.
I've done that walk with my wife. Actually, she and I have walked from our home all the way to the Colonial Park and back. And that is one little, I mean, it's not heavily traveled, but it's one little section that's dicier than others.
Agreed. And Weston is because it's so straight and flat, people have a tendency to abuse the speed limit. I'll just put it that way.
I don't think there's much along this, on the side here with this Little Gems Montessori, that side of Weston. I don't know what the easement rights are, but this is pretty accurate in that it's just a wooded corner. I don't know, you know, just taking 6 feet from that and making it, I guess part of the deal maybe is if it's designated as bike, like the Van Cleef path is, maybe it means if it fronts somebody's property, they're not responsible for having to plow it or shovel it. Maybe that makes it a little bit more amenable to the local residents, so that they're not suddenly put on because sidewalks, I think there's some mandate that people keep their sidewalks clear. But if this isn't technically a sidewalk, but a bike path, then maybe that mandate isn't in force. Just speculation. Is that something, Tara, you could investigate a question about? Because I mean, I've never seen anybody, not that we get that much snow, although today we did, yay. But not that we get a lot of snow, but I don't think anybody's ever been made to go plow Van Cleef's bike path, you know, along the way there that passes in front of people's space.
Yeah, I can definitely look into that and also see what's the situation with the right of way is there as well.
I'm looking at the satellite map and the satellite view and the Township interactive map. And if you blow it up, you can clearly see what path is there. And it looks like it's those two lots on the corner, 48.02 and 48.01, where there is no path, but there are actually trees in the satellite map, so I can't tell for certain. And then there are areas in the middle
Oh, yeah.
of Weston Canal Road where I do not see a path.
Oh yeah, you can see even here if I didn't zoom in far enough. If you look here, so this is Elizabeth over here, right? With good crosswalks and then trees and then the Montessori spot. And then on that side, on the Renaissance community side, you can see this path that exists here.
It looks to me, Mark, like there's a section in the middle which doesn't have path, does not have a
Yes.
sidewalk as well.
That's correct, because it does kind of dead end at these other people's properties over here, but perhaps it could, could be offered on this side or, yeah, I don't, I don't know what the
So it
options
looks like
are for easement.
lot 37.02 and lot 37.03. And actually that area all the way down to Cedar Grove Lane.
I'm pretty sure there's a sidewalk in this vicinity because I've walked.
I think it's on the other, it might be on the other, it's on the south side of the road from Cedar Grove Lane to Plum Tree Lane. And then it goes farther. Oh, it's all of that is on the south side of the road
Yeah.
to past Karen Lane. And actually it goes almost up to Elizabeth Avenue on the south side of the road. There's, I can measure it. It's like,
Yeah, it's more of
it
a
looks like there's
sidewalk.
like 200 feet that there is no path from Elizabeth Avenue to the path where it starts on the south side of Weston Road.
Yeah, that's my recollection as well, that there is some kind of sidewalk on this south side. It's much narrower than this wider bike / pedestrian path that's
Right.
just fronts Renaissance. But
Right.
it's there, and we could connect to it. So it wouldn't be a connection to nowhere. I would say keep it in.
Yeah, keep it in. I was just gonna say that. Looks like, yeah, if you can make it contiguous. Mark, I was gonna ask, did you say, is there a continuous path from Cedar Grove? Say like from Treptow to Weston, or is there breaks in that?
You can see it here. It
breaks
dead
there.
ends right here.
Oh, okay.
See that?
Yeah.
It just dead ends there. Like Renaissance didn't continue it around the corner. I don't know if this was because this was put in when Renaissance was put in. So I presume it was some kind of developer concession that was achieved, and that it goes to here. It would be nice to see that continue around the corner, and it goes all the way back, and tucks in these trees, and then it comes out. It doesn't quite make it to this intersection. It ends somewhere right about like here. And then you have just this little section to get around. It goes behind all this and then turns and ends on with an open curb cut onto Cedar Grove Lane. Right in that area.
So is that something to add? Like that little piece from Treptow to where Renaissance stopped?
Well, I guess
The sidewalk.
it would be a question of, since they've painted the crosswalk here, right? The crosswalk's here, but I guess the question would be, could the crosswalk be here, and then so that you wouldn't have to go on to the easement on this property? I don't know. And then get closer to this curb cut and then finish that little curb cut with another, I don't know what it is, 30, 40, 50 feet, and come closer to the intersection. But yeah, right now it ends, I don't know, maybe here. I can't be sure without going over there. You'd have to go and measure it. But it doesn't come quite all the way to here. And this crosswalk ends in front of this property. It's kind of kind of right on the corner of what they kind of mow and everything else. So I don't know what all the easement rights are. It becomes wooded over here a little bit. Sorry, over here. Yeah, that's a sidewalk kind of nowhere. But it would be great for that to be contiguous all the way around this corner and perhaps, I don't know, crosswalk here or something where this is. I think there's a lot of ways a lot of possible options. I don't know what the most cost efficient and effective are, but I guess I would continue to keep a mandate in the PTP that we finish it somehow.
Mhm. Okay.
That makes sense.
Agreed, it makes sense. All those little pieces. Be nice to connect.
Tara, is there anything like big picture wise? Like I know Mark had suggested that perhaps that was in like the development plan for, when all the land rights were happening. Like for like to kind of like see things through. Like I'm just wondering, like moving forward, if there's something that, so it's not like, because I see that all the time where you see like sidewalks end. And
Right.
like how do we prevent that from continuing? Any ideas?
Well, so in a development like Renaissance, for example, that was a developer's agreement probably worked out between the developer and the township, and they probably had a requirement to do so many feet of sidewalk. So basically, once that stops, either the next development to come in where that ends up that would be, a contingency that the next development that comes in is going to do the next however many feet is required of the sidewalk. In absence of that, it would be, up to the township to go ahead and complete those breaks. But it's usually based, the developer's agreement, they usually either have to put the sidewalk in or they have to give money for the amount of feet that are calculated when it comes to sidewalks. And it usually works the same way with traffic lights and things like that. So when those big developments comes in, that's when we have to really be watching to see what the terms are.
And this comes back to that point we've had the discussion on. Way back in 2006 when this committee started, the big development items were brought before the committee on a regular basis. We knew what developments were being discussed, and we had an opportunity to make motions and make recommendation that the development include enough linear footage of sidewalk to connect A to B and things like that. And we did that for like a year or two, and then it vanished. At least for the first couple of years while John Luce was our consultant then, he was there at 2006. And some point in the transition process away from John, it just stopped happening. It may have been a transition not so much from John, after John to Fran, but more from the transition in township staff. There were some changes there. Maybe that was more the factor, but it just stopped happening. And it's something I've complained about before, and I'll shut up and not complain further, but other than just to repeat it.
No, yeah, I agree. I've talked to the planner, Mark Healy, about this issue a few times, and he has said that anytime like a large scale development that comes in that would require a type of development agreement, he would keep me posted. And, like anytime that we come across a property in open space where it's maybe some type of compatibility, but yeah, I can definitely follow up with him again and see, because that is important to catch during that time. That's when those agreements are formed.
Yeah, I'm still very sad. In the process of all this, there's lots of spilled milk here, but like the big developments that went up along Schoolhouse Road. There were some large, the retirement communities and other apartment complexes that went up there. How we didn't get a sidewalk to continue. They have them. They have internal sidewalks, lovely ones. How we didn't get it to continue along Schoolhouse so that there's a safe passage along Schoolhouse to get from the canal to other part. It would have been great benefit for their residents. It would have been a great selling point. You take your sidewalk right out your front door in your community, and you can walk safely all the way to the canal. And yet it never happened.
Yeah. Yep.
Outside
Hear
of
ya.
those, there are secret internal connectors from those communities to the canal. And just looking at the maps.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Why do they have to have, they end up cutting their own little dirt back trails through, the woods when they could have had a perfectly fine, nice walking path or, paved or otherwise, something that could have got them right there that would have been nicely maintained.
Yeah. Yep.
I digress, sorry.
No, it's a good point for sure. So, all right. So I have in here, what do I have in here? Hold on. Let me share.
We should be just retaining the two Weston ones, I believe, as
Yeah.
stated. I think we're going to
Yep.
remove, and we decided to remove the Gauguin Way pathway
Yep, got
extension.
that. Yep.
So the next one, I don't know where our time is, but the next one is Weston Canal Road.
We can probably do Weston Canal Road, and then we're moving on to county parks unless we have other areas to add, which we will, I'm sure, at the next meeting. But I think we can get this one in. What do we got here? Ooh, I need my
Who's
cord.
our timekeeper?
We start at 8:06, right? So
So
We're
we still got
close.
about 10 minutes or so.
33 minutes into the session, yeah.
okay. So for Weston Canal Road, the thought here was to have a bike path starting, okay, so it's along Weston Canal Road from Manville Causeway to Schoolhouse Lane. The proposed improvements is a bike path to link to DNR Canal towpath to the existing bike path along Schoolhouse Lane. Should be suitable for road bikes, and it's saying here that construction in the right of way or land to be acquired from Pillar of Fire is needed. So I have, since I'm up, I have the map, I have my map here. I can zoom out a little, but this is the Manville Causeway. Right here, this is where the parking is over here for the canal, as you can see. And then this is where we keep following, Weston Canal. Let me make this bigger. And let me zoom out. Okay, so then we're following Weston Canal up here to Schoolhouse Road, right?
And Tara, there is a good, I believe, the retirement community here, and they've built some more, I think, on a couple of these open block lots here, 51301. I think they may have built some more there, but along Weston Canal Road, I would say 25 to 30% of the way from Schoolhouse Road down Weston Canal Road heading towards the causeway. There is again another one of these sidewalk stubs that turns onto Schoolhouse Road and continues as a wide paved bike lane on Schoolhouse Road.
Yes, there is. You're right.
Yeah, but it stubs out and ends, with a little curb cut on Weston Canal, and you're still stuck going around that little curve bend out there near the parking areas by just being in the shoulder, and until you can get to that curb cut.
Yeah, it's very dangerous there. That's one thing I wanted to bring up specifically. This area in particular is very dangerous, and I live right by here, and so I have a lot of experience with this. I mean, people pop out of there. Sometimes you can't see them. It is very dangerous. So to me, I think I don't know if like a road improvement would need to be done there in order to make it safe for bikes or a walking path. But that area in particular, there are so many almost accidents all the time. It's scary in this curve area.
Yeah, are you referring to the part up near Schoolhouse Lane? We have similar issues with the towpath crossing on Weston Canal Road. Diana and I have contacted numerous government agencies about how dangerous that corner is. You literally get dump trucks coming around the corner, bearing down on your bicycle as you're walking across the we hope somebody is not going to have to die before they either put a light there or some sort of speed restriction. Because
That, you know what it is? That's a site distance issue. And I don't know that can be corrected without doing basically a road realignment, which would also almost be impossible because of the location of the canal. The site distance for a driver, it's not adequate there. And so when a biker or a walker is coming out to that crosswalk, which they have a right to be in the crosswalk, obviously, you don't even really have enough time to stop, because by the time you find them in your line of sight, you're right up against them.
That's right. And, well, you know, what we've always been striving for is just having a crosswalk, you know, a real crosswalk painted on the road, you know, hopefully with a light, a flashing light or something.
Yeah.
That would slow people down. I mean, ideally, it should be a traffic light.
Like a warning light. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
You know,
the
but
strobing,
traffic light.
the strobing pedestrian crossing yellow light, like one of those big diamond yellow pedestrian crossing things, put a little further ahead to warn people as they come around the curve would, I think, be a minimum benefit there. I mean, sure, a traffic light would be ideal, but that may be a big hard sell. But again, if we could just, you know, where Weston and Manville Causeway split, that intersection at the curve here on Weston
Right.
Canal, if we could just get the off-road connection down to that little intersection spot, that would be an enormous benefit.
Well, actually, you know, there is a long parking lot. If you could scroll up your map just a little bit, Tara. The other way, I'm sorry. Right, okay, at the corner there's this parking lot. We use it quite a lot, actually, when we're going up there. But the parking lot ends before you get to the road. The south end of literally, if you could just connect the south end of the parking lot to the path on Weston Canal Road, it would be very helpful.
That actually would probably be a safer place to make that connection, because you're still far enough down where you have to come around that curve. So you're giving the walkers and the bikers a little more time. That's a good idea. I think and that actually is a pretty large parking lot. You're right.
But why couldn't we extend on the same side of the road it's already on, the current dead-ending stub sidewalk that is along the development on, you know, it's on that, what is it, the east side of Weston Canal Road there along those block 513L5, 513.01L5 and
Yep.
yeah. Why can't that be extended just down to the intersection?
You could extend that, but I think what Chuck is saying is the parking lot is on the opposite side of that. Not saying that you can't make the connection on one side versus the other, but it's just two different connections to be made. There is an existing, like Mark said, as you come onto Schoolhouse, that's where the big bike lane is. So that is an existing connection, which is great. On the other side is where you have that parking lot where it's jammed all the time. And I guess you could make, you know, that connection as well.
But I would think you would, you know, an option here would just, people could get to a signalized intersection at Schoolhouse Road and then come, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about two different locations here. I believe you're talking about the location of Schoolhouse Road, which I agree. Wouldn't be bad to have a signal light there too. I'm talking about the one where at the right angle curve at the south of Weston Canal Road that feeds into Manville Causeway, connects with Manville Causeway.
Yeah, perhaps we don't need to go any further in terms of talking about what to put here, but to just agree or disagree on keeping it in. And I mean, to me, it sounds, to my money, we should keep the recommendation in that of what's here, that along Weston Canal Road from the Causeway to Schoolhouse Lane, we need to finish the linkage. And then leave the details out of it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I did write in here about adding the warning signal. I think that's important. That might be something we want to add to it. I think that will help a lot. Everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah, Tara, who would be responsible for, say, like this flashing light crossing the street for the canal? Is that like the state?
Actually, that's a county road.
That's yeah, Weston Canal is a county road, so we'd have to basically start talking to the county to see if that's something that they'd be willing to put a signal in. They would do a sight distance triangulation in that area to see if a warning signal can be justified, and then if it can, they would then basically have to go through the process of, getting the actual light, installing it, getting the approval they need, if they have to do any striping for it, because sometimes with lights, there's striping requirements. The only other thing they may have to do is they may have to speak with DNR Canal Commission, although I'm not 100% sure. I would have to look and see like where, their comment jurisdiction kind of, I would think that they would have at least the right to be copied on that proposal.
I would think it would be the same kind of new light that they put up on South Middlebush Road for the 6 Mile Run crossing would be what we're thinking of here.
Yeah.
And the county did that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be both directions. If you're coming from Manville heading towards the canal, you have good distance and visibility to see what's happening at the canal cross. It's the problems coming from Manville and from Schoolhouse Road direction and trying to turn that corner when you come around that corner and suddenly there's people crossing at the canal.
Right.
Mark, you said that we're talking about.
No, go ahead, Vanessa.
Mark, you said the crossing on South Middlebush. It's not lighted though. It's just those 2 trail signs.
Didn't they add diamond-shaped yellow flashing crossing sign there?
No.
No.
Oh, I thought, where the heck did they add that? I've seen one. I thought it was there. My mistake.
It's a good idea. It's a great idea.
Well, I thought they had added one somewhere because I recall seeing it somewhere, and I'm guess I'm losing it. I don't know where it is. So I thought it was there. That I remember seeing it.
I was, we've been on the towpath, like further south, and if you go, there's 2 crossings in the Princeton area where they do have like a flashing light, and more or less, you're by the road and you press the button, and then it takes a while, but then the lights will start flashing, and then cars stop. So that would be the ideal thing, and it seems to, control the traffic there, because I think we were there, we missed an accident by about a half hour. Someone got hit, but yeah, it's really, there's a lot of traffic crossing some of those roads and crossing the towpath.
Okay, so I put that in, and that is definitely something, if we're interested, if we do decide to move forward on it at some point, we would just have to, engage the county in that and kind of see what their thoughts are as well.
Yeah, would that be something for the council, or I guess?
I think probably to start it off, yeah, I would think to start it off, it would probably be, running it by council, making sure they're on board with it. And then it would be like kind of staff working out, township staff working out with county staff, what the actual particulars are, and then getting it, approved and making sure it's, noticed and all that.
And I always thought the towpath was TOW.
It is.
It
Okay.
is, yeah. Someone there wrote TOE. Yeah, I see that too. I saw that too.
Okay.
You see here, it says parking TOE path.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, people don't understand it. They don't know the history of it, so it's confusing.
All righty, that basically concludes our portion of looking at the municipal trails. The next section is on county park trails, Colonial Park, most of it obviously, then 6 Mile Run. Lots of 6 Mile Run here, and then that's it. So I guess we can get into those next time.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. We've done our 40 minutes.
Perfect. Okay.
Many thanks to everyone. I appreciate
Yeah.
you. I appreciate this moving forward, and I appreciate you listening to me drone on about it.
No, you have a lot of good, information, so it's helpful.
You have a lot of history and you know a lot of these locations, so that helps us out. So thank you.
And you're good with sharing maps.
Yes. All right.
All right, motion to close the meeting, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's one more thing. Isn't there the trail reports?
Usually there is, it wasn't on the agenda this time because I think,
Oh.
right, Jim, am I wrong? We had said we were just gonna focus on like getting the feedback from last
Sorry,
meeting
I
and
misread
doing
it.
it.
I just misread it.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
And I don't want to throw Tara under the bus, but she had put it on the agenda, but I told her, well, I thought last meeting, we just talked, we are going to talk about trail painting and the trails plan, just because, you know, it's the holidays, whatever. But I mean, you know, if you
No,
want, if you have a
that's
comment, that's fine.
Can I post a trail complaint then? I almost lost my car on the driveway to the Gregstown grasslands.
Oh, gosh.
This last 2-inch rain that we had has seriously eroded that road. And if you were to get your tires caught in the rut that runs lengthwise down the road, several ruts that run lengthwise down the road, you might snap an axle. That road, which we said several times before, needs to be regraded and you know, potholes fixed and that sort of thing. And as long as I mentioned potholes, there are these potholes at Negri. Negri parking lot, there are potholes that lead onto the road that I think you could snap an axle off there too if you want to work at it. So
my question, that's a really good point though, because we have so much traffic going in and out of the parks. Is there a way to get some kind of minimal fix during the winter to prevent something seriously happening to someone's car and someone being stranded up there? Is there something we can do now to work on that? Like a emergency repair or something?
they could simply grade it with a back scraper and fill in voids with large gravel might take it through the winter.
What do you think, Tara? Is that something that we should recommend or something that DPW should look at? Because this is a serious concern. I mean, they're getting a lot of traffic out there and we don't want something terrible happening.
No, yeah, I agree. I put it just now on my list of items to talk with Carl about. I usually talk to him the day after the open space meeting, just so I have everything in one, you know, conversation. But, you know, I'll talk to him tomorrow because OSAC's not meeting. But yes, I have it on the list. I think it's a good point. So yeah, absolutely.
Is that for both Negri and Gregstown on your list?
Yeah, it's in Negri and Gregstown. There may be other places that I don't know about. But
I think this is so important. I think that's really very valuable.
I agree.
I know I missed a little conversation at the beginning of the meeting. Sorry, I know there was some hunting talk, but I would just remind people that actually, I mean, it's not probably going to change much, but technically we're going into a closure period on those two specific trails. Not that they shouldn't be repaired. I completely agree with the recommendation to repair them, but just a note that technically it's only going to be really hunters on those spots except for Sundays starting soon. Until February.
I think we're in we're just finishing up the 6-day season on Saturday.
Right, the 6-day firearm.
January 1st to March 28th?
No, February 20th.
February 20th. Bridgetown and Negri will be closed for firearms hunting.
Yep, Sundays
All
only.
of our other trails are open. If you wear orange in the weekdays and on Sundays. So
still need to get those roads repaired. It's probably a good time to get them repaired since hopefully, I guess, maybe there would be less traffic during this hunting period.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. The timing is good. So
yeah. You'd only have the hunters and the garbage dumpers out there. So
maybe we can get the hunters to hunt the garbage dumpers.
Yeah, seriously. That's true.
Yeah, why don't you work on a permit for that?
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Move to close.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Have a great holiday, everybody.
Yeah, just quickly,